Kevin Girish, I'm really excited to catch up with you here on the Dell stand at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. Kevin, Dish recently hit a really big coverage milestone, 70%. Maybe you can reflect back for our audience and tell us about some of the challenges that you had to work your way through as you endeavored to build this multi-vendor, cloud-native Open RAN network.
Yeah, we're really excited. We have hit that 70% population coverage, over 200 million actual pop from VoNR coverage. Right, we tried to take on a challenge here that wasn't just a simple, hey, new network build, right? It's first of its kind, cloud native, standalone 5G, VoNR, right? And we had to take that primary SI role with all of our partners, right? So that was probably the biggest challenge and something that not a lot of other operators have ever had to do. They use fully integrated systems and suites. We had to build it all ourselves and really jump in with the partners in their own wheelhouse and say, hey, how are you developing this? What research are you working on? How do you test these products? And then when it gets into the automation space too, right, pull it all together in a fully automated deployment.
So is it fair to say at this point in time and going forward, Girish, now sort of a brownfield network, right? So maybe you can talk us through some of the network management challenges that you see in the future.
Yeah, so 21,000 sites across the US already fully deployed on production, right? So it's no longer a greenfield space. We actually initially joked that this was the world's biggest lab, right? No longer, right? We're now full-fledged production. We've got customers on this network. We're working every day to make that customer experience even better and better. Part of that is that day two operations set, right? And so we'll work with Dell on making sure that we know how to do the upgrades on their servers from BIOS level up, all the firmware, right, in a fully automated way, that we know how to go from one cycle to the next with the least amount of user disruption as possible. And the goal is net zero, right? Customers should never feel any of this impact as we continuously upgrade this network.
So let's explore that partnership. Girish, maybe you can give us a little bit of a read-in on Dell Telecom infrastructure blocks, then we'll talk more specifically about the work you're doing with Dish.
No, absolutely. So if you look at Dell Telecom infrastructure block, it's a combination of a hardware platform, CAS, and automation and orchestration layer. And the way it helps out operators is to, whoever is planning to deploy the ORAN, it comes pre-validated, pre-tested, so that your day zero, day one, day two, the whole time required gets shrunk.
So then Kevin, give us the details on what you're doing specifically with Dell using the DTIM product.
Yeah, actually we started with Dell as we built out our own in-house zero-touch provisioning product for all these cell sites and managing all of our hardware across the country. We had their BMO products in that ZTP suite initially. Dell from a DTIM, right, we're evaluating, hey, does this get us to a better day two cycle, right? Does this allow us to step away from being primary SI for everything? Let Dell take over so that we can actually go focus our efforts on making that customer impact, that customer experience as good as it can be. Right? Not necessarily that we have to have our hands in everything, but let Dell take over some of the primary deployment and us drive things like AI generation work into the network and really making that performance get the best we can.
So when we think big picture about disaggregated networks, about this shift to cloud native, it's all about ecosystems, it's all about strong partnerships. So I'd maybe ask you both for some summary thoughts on how you really cultivate these lines of communication and turn them into real tangible outcomes for your customers. Girish, can we start with you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Kevin and the entire Dish team. I mean, in last 3 or 4 years, we have really worked as one team, which is absolutely required for any operator who's trying to deploy an ORAN, because you have so many different variations. You have to bring all that competence together, under one umbrella, right? So I think that has been a major factor of bringing the teams together, trusting it, and having that common process and common goal.
Yeah, Dell's been with us from day zero, right? So it's been a great partnership, and I think we've actually learned a lot from each other as we go and build out this new ecosystem, right? And it's a fun journey.
Gentlemen, it's really great to catch up with you, and I appreciate you taking the time to share your perspectives with our audience.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, guys.